Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So alhamdulillah, in the previous passage we saw that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about the lofty and the noble and the honorable status of the Quran itself, the message itself, how this message is independent of people, how it's people that need the message, and whoever needs, they will make an effort to go towards it. The message does not come to the people, but the people go to the message. Innaha tadhkira. Following that discussion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we see that in ayah number 18 to 22, which is where we concluded the last passage, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes for us the cycle of life itself. Starts from where it begins, that is from a single drop, min nutfatin, and then how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this life makes life easy for us. Then he causes him to die, meaning the beginning of life for man is also by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His end is also by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَأَقْبَرَهُ, and then he causes him to be buried. ثُمَّ إِذَا شَاءَ أَنْشَرَ, and then he brings him back to life, meaning the entire cycle of life in 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 summarized for us here as a reminder. But after all that reminder, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in ayah number 23? بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كلا. Kalla is used as a particle of refutation or emphasis. So over here, negating a point. And what is that point? Yani, after all this reminder, man has absolutely not what? Lamma yaqdi ma amara, did not yet. Lamma, okay, the meaning of lamma is what? Did not yet. Yaqdi, fulfill. Ma amarahu, that which what he commanded him. All right, so this is the literal translation. He over here, of course, referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in ayah number 23 is saying, absolutely not. Kalla, he did not yet. Where is this coming from? It's coming from lamma. Right? Yaqdi, did not fulfill. Qada yaqdi is to fulfill. What did he not fulfill? Ma amarahu, that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded him to. Again, as by way of encouraging, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after having spoken about the cycle of life from 18 to 22, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now gives us another reminder. And this time the reminder is through the stages of food, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in ayah number 24, what does he say? فَلْيَنْظُرْ الْإِنسَانُ, let man look at closely. Nadhara yanzuru, this word over here, nadhara yanzuru, it means to look at something closely. So let man look at closely what? Ila ta'amihi, to his food. And then from ayah number 25 lists the different kinds of food. Anna sababna al-ma'a sabba, indeed we have poured, right? What have we poured? Ma'a, the water, sabban, pouring. Now, sababna, what is the root letter? Sad, ba, and ba. Sabba, what is the root letter? Sad, ba, and ba. This is a verb. What is the difference? This is a verb and this is a noun. So what's happening over here? The same root that we see over here, all right, sad, baba, and sad, baba, at one time has been used as a verb, and in the same ayah has also come as a noun. What's the reason for that? Well, it's a concept that we know as maf'ul mutlaq, that is the same root letters in the same ayah or in the same sentence is used as a verb, and then it's used as a noun also. Why? For the purpose of emphasis. So now when I translate, I will say, indeed we poured the water abundantly. Where is that meaning, or where is that the word abundantly coming from? It's the usage of the same root, like we said, it is the usage of the same root letters as a verb, right? As a verb and then as a noun. That's a concept what we call as maf'ul mutlaq, very common in the Quran. We see it in the next ayah as well, in ayah number 26. Thumma, then, shaqaqna, we cracked what? The earth, shaqqan, splitting, right, causing it to split all over. So again, this one, same root letters, shaqaqna, sheen, qaf, qaf, right? And then we have sheen, qaf, qaf here as well. This is a noun, and then this is a verb in the same sentence. The same root letter has been used as a verb, and it has been used as a noun. The concept is what? Maf'ul mutlaq. And what is the purpose? The purpose is to emphasize. ثم شققنا الأرض شقة. And then what happened? 27, as a result of that, so rain came down, the rain hit the surface, and then what happened? We see the earth cracking and splitting all over. فأنبتنا أنبت ينبت إنبات, and I'm going to write over here أنبت, right? Yumbitu, you just learned it. Ambata yumbitu imbatan. This is what? Group 4, or you can say the if'al family. What is the meaning of that? We caused it to grow. We caused to grow. Here, I've written it over here. We caused to grow in it. The hadamir, going back to the earth. We caused to grow in it what? Habban, grains, right? And what else? Ayah number 28, وَعِنَبًا وَقَضْبًا, and grapes and vegetation, right? So the reason these have fathatain over here, because it's a response to فَأَنبَتْنَا. We caused to grow in the earth. Number 1, grains. Number 2, Ainab. Number 3, qadba, which is vegetation. And then what? Zaytuna wa nakhla. Number 4, right? 2, 3, 4. Yes, I'm not messing up my count. Number zaytuna, olives. Nakhla, date palms. Hadaiqa ghulba, dense gardens. This is sifa mawsuf construction. Okay, ghulba means dense, luscious, where the branches are intertwined, right? So ghulba, luscious or lush, and hadaiq, garden, lush gardens. And then number 31, وَفَاكِهَةً وَأَبَّا. Fakihata means what? Fruits. Abba means pasture, or pastures that animals graze on. So all this that has been mentioned, again, the food, the stages of food, right? The rain comes down in ayah number 25, and the earth is caused to split, crack and split, and then as a result of that, we see the different kinds of grains and vegetations that sprout from the surface of this earth, right? From the surface of this earth. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provide us with all of this? He mentions in 32, what's the purpose of all of this? Mata'an lakum waliyana'amikum. Mata' meaning what? Temporary. Temporary what? Temporary, you can say delight and enjoyment. Okay, a temporary delight and enjoyment for you and for your animals, right? Because it's temporary. Therefore, in ayah number 33, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that because it's temporary, there is going to be an end to all this delight and enjoyment. And what is going to end this delight and enjoyment? Here in ayah number 33, فَإِذَا جَاءَتِ الصَّاخَّةُ, when the loud shout comes. When all of a sudden, all that is included in idha, when all of a sudden a loud shout comes, or a deafening noise comes, what will happen? As a consequence of that, we see from 34 onwards what the state of humanity is going to be. Before we go into that, remember in Nazi'at, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used at-tamma, right, for the day of judgment, and we understood why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used tamma in that surah. It's keeping in context with the story of Fir'aun. Now over here, why is the day of judgment being referred to as a loud shout, a deafening noise? The reason, according to the context, remember in the beginning of the surah, what did we have? We see Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam talking to a group of the elite from the Quraysh who did not care to listen. They turned away from the message. We saw what the reasons were and all of that. So they did not want to listen. So here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by using the word sakha, which means loud shout or deafening noise, is basically saying in the beginning of the surah, or while in this dunya, you're turning away. That's the choice you make. But there will come a point in time when you will not be able to escape the noise. You will not be able to escape the shout. You will not be able to escape this sakha, referring to day of judgment, meaning the inevitable end that every man will eventually meet. So keeping in that context, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing the day of judgment with a loud noise, because they're ignoring voices at this time. They're ignoring the message of Islam, which they consider to be noise. All right, so here in ayah number 33, فَإِذَا جَاءَتِ الصَّاخَّةُ, what will happen as a consequence of that, like we saw in Naziat, فَإِذَا جَاءَتِ الطَّامَّةُ يَوْمَ يَتَذَكَّرُ الْإِنسَانُ مَا سَعَى, right? Man on that day will strive to remember. And over here, what does it say? يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. On the day when the man will run away from who? From his brother. Okay, min akhihi. 35, his mother, wa ummihi, wa abihi, his father. 36, wa sahibatihi, his companion, wa banihi, his children. As a result, 37, لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنٌ يُغْنِي. So remember, in Surah Naziat, what did we say? In ayah number 35, يَوْمَ يَتَذَكَّرُ الْإِنسَانُ مَا سَعَى, right? When the events of that day are going to unfold, then man is going to strive to remember whatever he pays for in this dunya. That's ayah number 35 of Naziat. And then over here we see that he's going to be running away from the relationships that are most precious to him. And then in conclusion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, while in Naziat, he's striving to remember what he pays for. Over here, every man, right? لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ, every person. This is a translation. لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ, every person, or for each person. لِكُلٍّ is for each. For each person, from them, minhum yawma'idhin, on that day, what will happen? Sha'nui, a matter. Yughnihi, that will occupy him. And he'll be preoccupied with a matter where he's going to be just thinking about himself. In Naziat, he's going to be remembering everything that he paid for in this dunya, what he invested his energy and his faculties in. And now, as that reminder will cause him to become preoccupied with himself, that we see in ayah number 37 of Surah Abasa. As a result, we see the two destinies that will result. So we saw that in Naziat, we saw that in Naba. In Naba, it was the Taghin and the Muttaqeen. And then in Nazi'at, we saw the ones who preferred the life of this dunya, وَمَنْ آثَرَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. And then you saw the one that feared the standing in front of his Rabb, and therefore نَحَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْحَوَى, right? So we saw the two destinies in Nazi'at. For one is Jahim and for the other is Jannah. Over here also we see the two groups, and that is what? وُجُوهُ يَوْمَئِذٍ مُسْفِرَةٌ. The first group, 38 and 39. Faces meaning referring to people. So this is plural, wujuh, the plural of wajhun. Okay, so faces on that day, musfira, there will be a group of people whose faces on that day will be absolutely radiant. And then in ayah number 39, dhahikatun, they're going to be laughing, mustabshirah, rejoicing. So this is the first group of people. These are the ones who, when we talked about them in the beginning of the surah, their state in this dunya, what was it like? In ayah number 8, wa amma man ja'aka yas'a wa huwa yakhsha, as for the one who comes to you in striving to seek knowledge, and he is fearful of that standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of that is implied. We saw that in the beginning of the surah, ayah number 8. This was his state in dunya. Because his state was such in dunya, therefore in the akhirah, this is how he is, rejoicing. It's party time for him, party time for the believer, right? And then in ayah number 40 and 41, we see the fate of, or the destiny of, the disbeliever, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَلَيْهَا غَبَرَةٌ. Then there will be another set of faces on that day, faces, right? On that day, عَلَيْهَا, upon them, what will there be? Dust. This is who? In the beginning of the surah, in ayah number 5, وَأَمَّا مَنِ اسْتَغْنَى, the one who thought he was need-free, the one who thought he did not need Islam. His state in the akhirah, he's going to have dust, ghabara, dust on his face. تَرْحَقُهَا قَطَرَ. Qatara is basically the word that is used for black smoke, that comes from the fire. So it's It's an analogy for gloom and doom and sadness, right? The black smoke is basically an analogy for that. So just like the black smoke that comes from the fire clings onto things, so the gloom and the sadness will be climbing on it, or it will be clinging on their faces. The hadamir, going back to faces, and those are who? Ulaika, those are who? Those indeed are the ones, ulaika, referring to these faces over here. Ulaika humul kafara, they are the worst deniers. Fajara, they are the worst sinners. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concludes the surah with the mention of the two different destinies that mankind will eventually be split into, like we saw in Surah Naba, inna yawm al-fasli kana miqata. Indeed, the day of separation is appointed, and day of separation, or the separation will only be between two groups. Over here you may have multiple groups, right? But in the akhirah, it's only going to be two groups: the good and the bad, the right and the wrong, the moral and the immoral, the ethical and the unethical, the generous and the stingy. It's just going to be the two groups. So we have the believers, the abrar, the mu'minun, the muhsinun, and then we have the kafara and the fajara, meaning the worst deniers and the worst sinners. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from such a fate, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the best ending and allow us to meet Him in the best state of Iman, inshallah. So with this, we conclude Surah Abasa. Next, inshallah, we begin with Surah Al-Takwir. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.